Hello. J-Rock, I said we gonna skip the intro today. We
I
go straight
my
to
bad.
live.
I thought you meant the prelude. I didn't know you meant the whole show.
No,
Me,
you
I'm sitting
good,
there
you
like,
good, you good.
all right.
It threw me off how fast we came on too. I'm not used to that. So I only did it because we got a special guest today.
I don't know about
But
special.
well, all right, if you don't want to be special, Mel, then don't be special. Golly, I'm
Yeah,
trying to be nice to you.
I'll put it out
Anyway,
there because
welcome
people
to
be
the
out there like
sideline.
define special, define special.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, we just got to guess. Yeah,
There you go.
whatever.
There you go.
Welcome to the sideline speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Kevin Walker. Jay is not here, but that is okay because we just got a guest, I guess you could say, Mel from Man Down Sports, which I'm also a part of, technically on panel Fridays. Can I claim that now, Mel? I'm
Of
claiming it. I don't care.
of course, of
Um,
course.
yeah, so make sure you check out Man Down Sports, please. It is fun, it is exciting. I'm on there every Friday. But of course, Man Down Sports does shows all throughout the week as well. So please check that out. Subscribe, like, and please also subscribe, like, and share the Sideline Speaks as well. That quickness, it threw me off. This is new, guys, so going to try to switch up the intro a little bit for the future, but we came on kind of quick. But real quick before we get started, y'all, K-Walk, I was going to ask you at the end of the show, but I'm going to ask you before we get started, your Yankees, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, bats are quiet, man. Bats are quiet. I'm liking the pitching because it keeps us in the game for the most part, but right now, Aaron Judge is not that guy right now, man. I mean, hey, his bat is what we need right now, and if he can't get it done, then this is it's not a winnable cause for us. But that's what we need. That's what's going on right now. I mean, if you look at the scores, the Yankees have been in there every single game. Pitching, we all know that. If you know baseball, good pitching, beats good hitting any day of the week, and that's what's happening. With Yankees just aren't hitting right now.
Well, I know the Yankees need Aaron Judge to show up. I know that's been an issue for him the last so many years. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's not over until the. Can I still say this? Can I still? No, I ain't gonna say it. Until the lady sings. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the first
Yeah,
part
I
of
know.
that. All right, y'all. Before we get started, what's going on, Sandy?
Hey, Sandy, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Every week on
Yeah,
time. I love it. But you guys ready to talk some sports?
Yes,
let's do
ma'am.
it.
Let's get started. We got to get started with the NBA conversation. It has officially started. I know I was out last week. I know the NBA started last week. I was out on work doing work stuff, of course. But I had to get started with this conversation with the Boston Celtics, primarily Jayson Tatum, who won Player of the Week, averaging 33 points per game, 6.6 points. I'm sorry, rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game. Boston has begun the season undefeated at 4-0. Do you guys think Jayson Tatum deserves more respect than what he received after winning the championship last year? Do you just think he deserves more respect right now? Mel, I'm actually start with you first on this one.
So the answer is yes for me, 100%. He deserves more respect, but I don't think the disrespect started like a lot of people think the disrespect started in the Olympics with Steve Kerr and him being benched. I think the disrespect started the moment he wasn't part of the MVP discussion last year, while his team was the best in the league, led by him, and he was playing A+ on both sides of the ball, which is what I think every MVP candidate should be doing. I think you should be an A+ player on the offense, and it doesn't matter if you're doing assist and scoring for your offense, as long as you're doing the scoring. That's the guy that's the go-to guy. You don't necessarily have to be doing assist as well because it's not really that important that you do it because there's always someone else that can do the assisting as well. Your point guard can do it, right? So Jayson Tatum has decided to come off the ball primarily like most players that he look up to, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. He's off the ball, and that allows a real point guard to actually star in his role, whether it's Drew Holiday or Derek White. And players like Luka don't afford that same opportunity for their co-stars because they occupy both spots, the primary scorer and the point guard, and then they don't play no defense. So I think the real formula for greatness especially for wing players, is A+ offense as a scorer and A+ defender on the other end of the floor, and then winning. And he had all three of those things, and he finished sixth in the MVP voting. That's a tragedy.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Mel. I think Jason Tatum absolutely should deserves way more respect than what he received over the course of last year. Look, I understand Jaylen Brown. He was incredible last year. He's a great player. I think some of us didn't expect the the level of play that Jaylen Brown has ascended to thus far. But to me, that doesn't take away from what Jayson Tatum provides to this team, the star level talent that he is. And I understand for me last year, the biggest thing for me was consistency. Jayson Tatum's not always the most consistent player. I understand that. But again, like Mel said, his level of talent is not a lot of players who have that much level of talent in the NBA right now. He plays well on both sides of the basketball. To me, he should never got disrespected. And if we look on how NBA plays, the defense is they basically got to pick or choose, right? You're like pick your poison, and a lot of times they're going to choose Jayson Tatum. So to me, other players in the NBA they respect Jayson Tatum. They understand what he can do, and I think that us as the fan base, us as the media, we have to give Jayson Tatum his credit and understand what he does for this basketball team, how he opens it up for the Jaylen Browns or the Petrarch, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Pitcher, whatever his name is.
Porzingis.
No, not the other one. The other guy
Richard,
off the
the
bench.
guard, the guard.
Yeah, the guard.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Pritchard.
guard.
Pritchard. Oh, I'm
Right,
sorry.
Pitcher, Drew Holiday, how he opens it up for everybody else on the court. So yes, to me, he deserves way more respect. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on Jayson Tatum deserving more respect than what he has received?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little different way here, guys. And I think when you look at Jayson Tatum, I think we're kind of skipping over one thing. You guys mentioned the regular season last year, and you mentioned the Olympics as well. But what we didn't mention is the NBA Finals and what Jaylen Brown did in that NBA Finals, and and the Eastern Conference Finals as well. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why he got the award that he got, the awards that he got because of his play. And I'm not gonna say it was a lack of performance from Jayson Tatum. I just think it was a better performance by Brown in that situation. And then I think that's where I don't want to call it a lack of respect. I just don't think it should be in that conversation of being the MVP. He was what six? I think he finished sixth last year. I think it was, and I think that's rightfully so. I think that's the right number to put on him based on what he did last year. I know you don't look at the postseason. It has nothing to do with the voting, but Jaylen Brown outshined him. It's just clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
He outshined him in the Eastern Conference Finals and in the finals as well. And you guys mentioned the talent. Yeah, he's very talented. We get all that. He has all that potential to be the best in the league year in and year out. But you have to put that, you have to take it off of the paper and put it on the court. And I'm not saying he can't do it, but he just didn't do it. And then that's the reason why we're not talking about him, or at least I'm not talking about him in the MVP conversation as of yet. I mean, right now, if you look at it, I know he got the MVP, NBA Player of the Week award this
Mm-hmm.
year, but I mean, what's 3-4 games? We're only 3-4 games in, and he's only 10th and tied for 10th, I think, in scoring and those numbers there. If you look at it, but yeah, I'm not trying to disrespect him by any stretch of the imagination, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't think that he's playing at that level. He's just not playing at that. I'm not saying he's not capable. He's just not playing at that level. And I think Jaylen Brown showed that he's just as good, if not better, than Jayson Tatum. So that's why he's not in that serious conversation at this point.
Yeah, you didn't say nothing that was false as far as Jaylen Brown outplaying him in the playoffs, but when it comes to the question of does he deserve more respect, I don't think that part is relevant, right? And especially not if we're talking about the MVP discussion this year, because I wouldn't be taking into account what happened last year or what happened in the playoffs. If we just taking the sample size of these first 4 games, and you had to put a list together of the top 5 MVP candidates, Jayson Tatum and probably Anthony Davis would be 1 and 2.
Well, you could do that every year. Yeah, no, you could do that every season. But when when you go down, when you look at the the whole body of work at the end of the day, or at the end of the conversation, at the end of the season, is he consistent enough? And Britt, you use that word as well. He's been inconsistent for the most part. So yeah, he has the potential of being there, and it's early, so he's going to be in that conversation. But he's got to maintain that consistency.
He was consistent last year though. He should have been a number one candidate last year. Well, not
number one.
Not when Embiid was playing, but after Embiid got hurt, it was a stretch where when I did my MVP list, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, SGA, Tatum, and Anthony Edwards was 1, 2, and 3, and then at some point Jokic went from number 4 probably to number 3 or number 2 or whatever. Right. But SGA was my MVP last year. But I had Tatum right behind him until they start kind of dogging it because they had such a huge lead record-wise.
Right.
That, that's not inconsistency. That's saying that, hey, look, we already got the playoffs locked. We're going to play less minutes now. So he didn't go out there trying to go get his numbers. They had the main thing, and it worked. They won the championship, so that's what they was doing. But for the MVP, yeah, after SGA and it was Tatum for me, for sure. So he was definitely consistent though.
Yeah, but was he consistent though? But because you said there was some tapering off, there was some load management, if you will, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he just wasn't. He was putting up the numbers that that these voters look for. They don't look. He wasn't putting up those numbers. And then when Jaylen Brown was doing his thing, they're looking at him like, well, they got a guy on their team who can do just as much, if not more, than Tatum. I'm not saying he can. I'm just saying they're looking at him as, he's got a guy on his team who can arguably be an MVP race as well. Those other guys that you mentioned don't have those guys on their team. Well,
that's a contradiction for the voters if they saying that they're looking at Tatum to tax him a little bit because they got another MVP candidate in Brown when they didn't even vote Brown first, second, or third team all NBA.
So what is your criteria? Also, based off of your criteria, you said that SGA should have been the MVP. Why wasn't Tatum your MVP?
Because SGA performed better than Tatum, in my opinion, and it didn't have anything to do with numbers. It was just why they both, like, my criteria is, number one, you have to be A+ as a scorer, and number two, you have to be A+ as a defender. That's my criteria. So SGA was number one. Your team also has to have success. And so whoever meets that criteria the most, meaning they score more, they defend better, and their team actually resulted in wins, then I'm going to give that person the edge. And then I might, if it's close, like Tatum and SGA, then I would look into what you were saying, like, okay, who is that number two? Who has more help to actually have that success? And yeah, you could use Brown then and say, well, maybe I would give SGA the nod over Tatum just for that reason. But everyone else didn't even meet the criteria. Those was the only two that met the criteria other than Embiid before he missed all the games. Jokic didn't meet that criteria for me at all. Edwards did, right? So Jokic was always number 4 for me because there was 3 guys who met the criteria better because they did it on both ends and had more team success.
Well, let me ask you this before you get to you, Britt, is that your criteria has it's both offense and defensive side of the end of the courts, correct?
Yep, and team success.
Yeah, but do you think the voters are looking at it that way?
No,
I'm about to say, before you answer that, remember who the defensive player of the year was as well. So that's what I'm saying.
No. So Cameron, so you pointed out a discrepancy, and
I agree. I agree with you saying, but I'm looking at from their standpoint.
The two discrepancies in voting for NBA, NFL, it don't even matter. The two discrepancies is there's no criteria given from a governing body of the league, right? So every voter have their own criteria. That's the first issue. The second issue is that criteria is for most people numbers based and have nothing to do with the other end of the floor, right? And and they can it's a sliding scale. They can vote for a player who team don't have great success and give a reason why. Oh man, his number 2 guy was hurt, so it's okay for him to be a 6 seed and also be the MVP. And then they can also look at a team that's number one and be like, but we can't give it to him because his team's number one and he got too much help. It's just crazy. There's no real criteria, but I have one, and I think it's better than the NBA's. But that's just my opinion.
I agree. I concur with your criteria.
I mean, look, I understand both you guys. I do think that Tatum last year deserved way more respect than what he received, but I also do think that he did have some inconsistencies towards the end of the year. And what I mean by that is not necessarily, I don't know if I could put numbers to it, but when you watch his play, it did seem like it tapered off towards the end, and that's when. And granted, I think him tapering off allowed Jaylen Brown to become the Finals MVP. And again, it could also be how, like I said earlier, how defenses are playing Jayson Tatum. I feel like he is, regardless of how we feel in the situation, Jayson Tatum is Boston Celtics number one. When teams are game planning, they're game planning for him first, and then everybody else falls in line. And I think that's how it's going to continue to be. Go ahead, Mel. It's how it's going to continue to be this year. Go ahead.
I just want to add one thing. So Sam Cassell has an interview, and Sam Cassell was on that Boston staff. I think he might still be on there. He was on that Boston Celtics staff. And they asked him about, he's Baltimore, but they asked him about Jayson Tatum in the same regards that we're speaking of him, right? And one of the things he said, which was repeated by Jayson Tatum in the interview as well, is that what they don't understand is that Jayson Tatum can go out and play for his numbers. The coaching staff asked Jayson Tatum to do exactly what he was doing, right? They said, this is how we think we'll win. You have to play this way. They asked him to play power forward. He's not a power forward, right? He's in the, like, I was watching the game yesterday. He's down low defending Brook Lopez and Giannis,
right,
in the post, right? And then when they come out of the game, he's stepping out and guarding the perimeter just as well, right? So he said that's what they asked him to do. And then on offense, they're asking him not to dominate the ball. They're asking him to play without the ball. They're asking him, let these other guys get involved. And if they got it going, let them keep having it going. If you're the best player, you should be able to say you got it going. Just in case you start missing, I'm so good, I can say, all right, I got it from here, and I can start getting my shot. But they asked him to play that way. And Jayson Tatum had an interview and said, I'm doing everything that they asked me to do as a coaching staff, and I'm getting punished for it. He was like, I just don't I can go out there and go try to get my numbers, but they asking me to do this to win, and it's frowned upon because the awards are based on numbers and not realness. You know what I mean? So I just thought that was interesting.
And I agree. I'm not going to sit and disagree with that. I do think the award is based off numbers. And if that's something that that's to me where I give a lot of respect to Jayson Tatum, because he is willing to play a certain role that's less than the level of what a superstar, I guess, should play for the betterment of his team. So that's where a lot of my respect for him does come into place, because as you can see, it led to a championship, which is the main goal for everybody. So I don't have a problem with that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think understanding that it just felt like he was getting a little frustrated over the summer about the lack of disrespect. Understanding that if that's what your coaches are, you have to expect this then. And if you guys understand what I'm saying, like, to me, you kind of have to expect this particular outcome or people saying certain things because of that type of role that you're okay with playing. So I still think he's the star. I still think teams are going to look at him as number one, like I said earlier. But again, that was last year. Moving forward to this year, he is playing lights out. I know the last game he had 15 points against the Celtics. You're going to have those games. I think everybody's going to have those games. But prior to that, he had 37. He was averaging 33 points per game. I can't exactly remember what he had each game. Do you guys think that this will be his MVP? This season can be an MVP kind of season for Tatum. K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he's willing to forget about what the coaches are asking him to do, forgetting about the deferring to what the team needs him to do, based off of the interview with Sam Cassell and himself as well. If he has come out and said that, yeah, I can get those numbers, and we're all in agreement that it takes those numbers to be in that conversation. He's come out and said he feels like he's being disrespected because he's playing within the system and not going out and getting his numbers. Now, what's more important to him? He's got to ask himself that question: Is it about the team, or is it about Jayson
Mm-hmm.
Tatum? Now he's got the NBA championship. He's got the Olympic gold, and we know what he had to sacrifice to get that, for the most part. But now, does he want to go get that MVP? Does he want to go out there and prove what he's about? Then yeah, if he wants to go commit to that, then yeah, then go do it. If he feels like, that's what it takes to get the MVP. So I think that's what it takes to get the MVP, to show the numbers. He has to be in the top two, top three in scoring, up there in top 10 in assists, rebounds, and to Mel's point, on defensive side of the ball as well, he's got to be, first team all defense as well. So I think it's going to take all of that for him to be an MVP, but he's got to be willing. Am I willing to do that and sacrifice the betterment of the team? So that's the question that Jayson Tatum, or the decision Jayson Tatum has to make.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that. It is a decision that he has to make. I think he has the right to make that decision. Hopefully the organization gives him allow him the right to make that decision. Um but Mel, what are your thoughts? Do you think that this can be an MVP kind of season for Jayson Tatum?
Yeah, because remember, like we established 5 minutes ago, that there's no criteria. So the
Right.
voters can decide that, hey, we go consider defense this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the way Denver looking after they done lost Caldwell Pope, they lost Bruce Brown 2 years ago. They
Mm-hmm.
lost Jeff Green 3 years ago. I mean, they just all over the place. They just don't have the bench no more. They probably won't have no success. So the excuse to give it to Jokic again is not going to be there. And B says he's not going to be playing no back-to-backs, right? So Embiid's probably going to be out of it. So only thing you're really going to have left is Luka, SGA, and Tatum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is very possible that Jayson Tatum can get MVP.
Yeah, my question regarding the MVP, guys, because I think talent wise, we all understand that he could get the MVP. He has the ability to obtain the MVP. Unfortunately, it is a numbers based thing, and it's been a numbers based thing for a very long time, which a lot of us doesn't like. I prefer for us to really watch a game to see who's dominating on the floor and then determine from there. But let's be real, the MVP doesn't always get selected based off of that. It feels like sometimes the MVP is based off of personality as well. Do I like this player? Does Jayson Tatum have the type of personality that these voters will want to vote for, will appreciate? Because it feels like, and I always throw this out there, although a lot of people, they come at me a lot. They say, no, Jokic deserved it such and such years, not Embiid, da 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 da. But it felt like during the early part of the Embiid Jokic, I guess, MVP talk back and forth. Not saying that neither one didn't deserve it. It just felt like they gravitated towards Jokic more because he wasn't a troll, because they liked his personality more versus just watching the game and see who's clearly dominating in the games. Does Tatum have the personality to be selected as MVP? Mel, I'm gonna come to you first.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'll be
It
coming
depends.
off the top of the head with
It
some of my
depends.
questions.
It depends on what the personality is. Like, I mean, like, no, he definitely don't have a open, bubbly, you know, now he don't have that. He don't have like that I don't know. He not that charismatic, and he don't have that. But do you need that to win MVP? I mean, now Jokic don't have it for sure, right? And they just giving him the MVP, So he don't have it. So I don't even know if it's a personality that exists that helps you win over the voters. Like you said, the voters are really just looking at the numbers, half of them, and the other half of them are looking at storylines from a journalist perspective. What's a great storyline, and Jokic was a great story. Here's this European white guy that can't jump over a phone book. He's chubby, look like a whole pack of chew bubble gum, and he's very skilled, and he's busting tail, like, and that's like a great story when you see a white guy busting black people's tail like that. Kind of like what Caitlin Clark was like. Oh man, it's a great story. This white girl is busting these black girls' tail. Let's wrap our arms around it. So that's what it is for Jokic. It ain't his personality. It's the story, and the freaking analytics and the numbers. Is he gonna be an analytics darling? No. Is he gonna have a storyline? Kinda, yeah. Like he got benched during the Olympics, and he's out for blood. That story got legs, and I think they can wrap their arms around that for sure.
So going real quick, Mel, going back to the personality. I guess what I was saying was Joel Embiid at the time was a troll. He was considered a troll because he would be on Twitter trolling, I guess the media, or right, he would troll everybody. So maybe that's what. And then Jokic is more reserved. He basically he goes back home to Serbia and spend time with his family and spend time with his horses. That's all he likes to do. So I guess that seems to be more likable of a personality to whoever these voters are. When you compare Tatum to like a Luka. Shout out to Sports T, by the way, for this comment. Go check her out. That's Dominique. What's going on, girl? I did see it earlier. But when you compare, to him like I don't know, a Luka. I don't know if he has the personality, but maybe he does. Is he a little bit more outspoken than a Jayson Tatum? Like, could you see him? But then again, he's in a situation of a Jokic, right? He's a European white guy who gets offensive numbers and doesn't necessarily play for the team. So maybe it is more analytics based more than anything versus a personality. But K-Walk, I didn't forget about you. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I agree. I mean, he definitely doesn't have the personality. He's definitely not an outgoing guy or anything like that. But I think what hurts him a lot too is that I think there was a guy, Kevin Dorsey, said he kind of alluded to what I wanted to say. Like he doesn't finish when he finishes under the basket. If he doesn't get the basket, he's immediately looking for the referees to bail him out. So I think he does that night in and night out, and I think that kind of wears on not just the league, but when you're looking at the guys that we talked about, the voters, they take that into consideration as well. They're always looking at that aspect because I'm one to call him a crybaby, myself. I'm not even going to lie. He's always looking for the referees to bail him out if that shot doesn't go in for him, without question. So I think that plays a huge part into the deciding factor as well. For him to finish sixth last year, I'm not saying he should have been the MVP by any stretch, but he definitely should have been higher than six, without in my opinion. But yeah, I just don't think he's just not that guy that just goes out there and wants to be. I don't think he cares about being liked. He just wants to win. I think that's what it's about for him, and proving what he can do. And that's all he cares about, is proving what he can do, and going out there and get the respect that he feels like he deserves. I mean, if it comes with people not liking him, he's willing to sacrifice that. And I have no problem with that.
That's a fact.
Now, because we always talk about legacy. If people don't like him and he doesn't win MVP, will that impact his legacy at that point? Because right now he's starting off pretty well. He's still in his 20s. He has a ring. But if you don't start liking certain things, and I guess we talk about these voters, how does that impact your legacy? Is that something you think he cares about by the time the end of his career comes around?
No, I just think it'll hurt him just getting on like ESPN, NBA Today, TNT, things of that nature. They won't invite him to be an analyst or anything like that. But as far as his basketball legacy, I think he'll be all right. Because when we go back and we look at the greatest of all time, the first thing we look at is championships. That's the first thing we like to we like to put that measurement, as far as adding that to our criteria. How many championships do you have? What was your point, your average, things of that nature. I don't think anyone's going to say, okay, well, this guy was, he told this joke, or he was this funny, or, he was outgoing or anything like that. No one puts that in consideration, when it comes down to defining someone's legacy. It's all about the championships and what you did while you were playing, as far as the numbers go. Now,
real quick, we got Motown Chris, Motor City Roar. I apologize if I messed that up. Please check that out. It's a great Lions channel. Please subscribe, like, and share. He said Tatum Disney as hell unintentionally. He would be a great league face. He's on the same trajectory as LeBron personality wise. Y'all agree with this? Anybody can say that?
Personality wise,
not the LeBron part, and I don't even know if Tatum is Disney, man. He's not Disney.
Yeah.
He just
Definitely
light
not
skin,
Disney.
man. That's just how light skinned people. I mean, he just chill, man. He got baby hair. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, if Prince played basketball, or if Rico Suave or Chico DeBarge or
Ghost from Power,
El DeBarge. If El DeBarge played basketball, this is probably how he would act.
Yeah, he have all the ladies. I know that for sure.
Rhythm of the night. We'll be in the rhythm of the night every night.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's continue with the basketball talk because I got to get into it before we get into this NFL talk. Because he got a lot of criticism prior to the beginning of the actually when he got hired. He got a lot of criticism when he got hired. I know I was the first to criticize him because I just wasn't sure. And that's JJ Reddick as the Lakers head coach. I'll be the first to say I wasn't a believer. I still think he was hired because he was LeBron's friend. That's just my opinion. But what are your thoughts on the first few games? And granted, guys, we are at the beginning of the NBA season, so we still got a long NBA season to go. But what are your thoughts from what you could see at the beginning of the season? How JJ has done in his first few games as a head coach, outside of the whole Bronny and LeBron entering into the game, because we know that was more of a LeBron thing than anything. How do you think he has done as a head coach thus far? Mel, I'm gonna come to you.
Well, his first 4 games, he's 3-1. And just looking at the product on the floor, seeing that JJ Reddick was able to get the ball out of LeBron's hand and run the offense through AD was something I did not expect. And just the fact that he was able to do that, that impressed me, because I mean, I don't know if the other coaches were trying or not, but it don't seem like Darvin Ham could get away from Bron ball ever. And he had AD sitting right there that played 70 games last year. They should have been running the offense through him all season. I remember against Denver, Anthony Davis had a monster game in the playoffs. And in the fourth quarter, I don't even think he took a shot. It was that bad. Like, I mean, this dude had like 30 in 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, couldn't get a shot off. It was all Bron ball. So Ham couldn't do what JJ Reddick just did in these first 4 games by getting the ball out of LeBron's hand. But as far as if I'm impressed by him or not, I think Frank Vogel won in the bubble his first year with the Lakers. Darvin Ham went to the Western Conference Finals his first year with the Lakers. So my grade for JJ Reddick is going to be based on if he can at least make the Western Conference Finals. If he don't, then he's going to get a grade lower than Darvin Ham's. I don't care what happens.
That is a tough. that's a tough grade.
Ham did it.
The West is not easy. They still got there's a lot of talent in the West. A lot of tough teams in the West. And I know the Lakers, I guess, you know what, Mel, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I guess you're right. If you think about it, if LeBron is supposed to be who he says, who, all the LeBron fans and whoever out there says that he is, if Anthony Davis is supposed to be one of the top talents in the league, that's 2 superstars right there. And you just need quality role players. But so I guess I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. It's gonna be tough. I don't know if they're gonna be able to meet it this year, but it's definitely gonna be tough. But I'm gonna give JJ some credit. I'll give him some credit from what I see thus far. I like the fact that what I seen, especially in that last game, is that he's willing to, it seems like, tell LeBron off. And I'm not. I don't know if he's going to do it in a way that's going to create controversy. But there was one play where he basically said, "Shoot the freaking ball" to LeBron because they got a shot clock violation.
That's an act. That's an act.
It could be an act. Maybe it is an act. I'm not sure. But the fact that he's willing to do it, I'm like, okay, so maybe they will take into their coaching. I don't know. I'm not sure. Again, it's only 4 games. I haven't seen enough.
Tell me if you agree with this, K-Walt. And I agree with what you just said is an act, right? That's not even That's not even that's just like me telling my old lady, go freaking shopping right now. Like it looked like I put my foot down, but I'm telling her to go do something she would love to
she
do.
was already going to do.
Yeah,
that she was already going to do.
Shoot
It was
the
on her
ball.
list.
What superstar don't want to shoot the ball?
Right? Thank you.
Aye, Captain.
Right?
He didn't say don't shoot the ball or freaking pass the ball. He told him to do something that he loves to do anyway.
I agree.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Well, no, I'm not saying. Wait a minute. I'm not saying I don't disagree. What I'm saying is any coach that we have seen prior was scared to even tell the man to shoot the ball. Is what I'm saying. So to me, it's one step. It could be an act or not, but the fact that I'm even seeing it, I'm like, okay, this is different. It's already different for me. I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. But just the fact that I'm seeing that, I'm like, all right, whether it's an act, it's something different, right? This is what we need with this team.
I respect him when he tells him to do something that he don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
When he yell on him and tell him to do something he don't want to do, then I respect it. Like when Steve Kerr benched Draymond Green in the finals against Boston. You're not playing right. You're not playing well enough. Sit down. Here comes not Kuminga, but here comes Wiggins and Otto Porter Jr. taking your minutes because you're looking like trash out there. Sit down. Draymond Green didn't want to do that. So until JJ Reddick sits LeBron down for stinking the court up.
That's not. But we also know that's not going to happen. JJ wants to keep his job for right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never said that point was wrong, though. No. I know the situation with how LeBron is with this organization. I'm very aware of the situation. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying is it's different. That's all I'm saying. So any other head coach that came with the organization was even scared to even say something. He got a shot clock violation or he made a wrong shot. They wouldn't dare even look his way. And we've seen that. So it could be an act. It could not be an act. But I'm pretty sure, look, it's different is what I'm saying. I think that's all I'm saying here. So, but we know JJ wants to keep his daggone job. So he's not going to tell LeBron to sit down. I don't know if they can really afford to tell LeBron to sit down because outside LeBron, you got AD, you got Austin Reeves. Is there really any other consistent player on the team?
Don't connect. Is it going to be a good
Dalton Connect? I do like Dalton Connect. He's a rookie, but is that enough?
Rory is playing lights out. You know, Rory almost averaging. What is he averaging? About 17 right now, and shooting like over 40% from the three. Rory is playing dang on good ball, which is possible because LeBron don't have the ball all the time and turning everybody into a catch and shoot player.
Right. So does JJ get credit for that then? That's a coaching thing, right? We know that's not a LeBron thing. If it's up to LeBron, the ball is in his hand 24/7.
Yeah, but he gets credit for it, but at the same time, it goes to show you that because he's not the only coach that knows that the ball needs to come out of LeBron's hand for the offense to open up. But the thing is, LeBron wasn't willing to let them pry the ball out of his old 55-year-old hands. And with JJ Reddick, he's trying to prove a point. Right, he's trying to prove a point, so he's willing to do it for JJ, but he wasn't willing to do it for Frank Vogel and Darvin Ham.
All right, you might.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things.
Story.
No, I think it's one of those things where LeBron is. Everyone was telling him the same thing. JJ's telling him the same thing that previous coaches have told him. But I think it's not what they're saying; it's how they're saying it. And I think that, with the other coaches, probably you got on LeBron, like, listen, explicit, give up the ball or whatever the case may be. And LeBron wasn't having that. And now JJ is his guy. So JJ is, pretty much saying what LeBron, they've already talked about the game plan or the season plan and how this is going to go. In this situation, say this to me. So these guys know that, think, not know. But think that, you're the guy, you're the difference maker. Say this way. I'll know you'll mean it, a certain way. But I just want the other guys to buy into who you are, buy into, this thing it's not my construction here, my orchestration, if you will. I'm not buying any of this. I'm saying, this is all right now is orchestrated by JJ and LeBron. So that's why all of a sudden, why is JJ, a guy with no experience, all of a sudden he can come in and tell LeBron exactly what these other coaches were telling them. And to Mel's point, is that they got him to the championship, got him to a Vogel got him to a championship. Ham got him to a conference finals. These guys are telling him the same thing, but since this is his guy, he's listening to them all of a sudden. It's the same thing, but it's just said differently. That's all it is.
Correct. Yeah. And if those coaches was looking over their shoulder and scared to say something to LeBron, that lets them know either they didn't have the power that a coach should have, but all of a sudden they're giving that power to JJ. Because if Ham was afraid to say something to James because he felt like Rob Pelinka or Jenny Buss would be on James' side and they'd be on the next thing smoking, and Vogel was doing that same thing, looking over his shoulder, and then ultimately he was on the next thing smoking. They both got fired, so obviously there's some truth to that. If they didn't have the power a head coach supposed to have to make this thing work, but JJ Reddick does, that tells you that something's going on that's nefarious.
I don't know if Views on You said the ultimate taunt for LeBron would be
That'd be dope.
Crowd started
That'd be dope.
Ain't no party like
that'd be dope.
Party.
That'd be
totally
dope.
throw him off his scale. That would be
dope.
crazy.
Wow.
All right, well, I'm gonna make this clear because I just realized it sounded like I was defending LeBron and all his nonsense. I am not. I just want to give credit where credit is due. So, and I be feeling bad for Lakers fans because I know how they are. Can't stand the Lakers to save my life. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Never did like them outside of Kobe Bryant. But I know how Lakers fans are. They are a basketball town, just like, Philadelphia is a big time sports town. So I understand when you got players on your team that you just don't want there. Yeah, it is what it is. But maybe it is an act, but it might be an act, but it's working so far. As far as the game, as far as the play on the court. Granted, it's 4 games into the season. 4 or 5 games into the regular season. So at this point, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. We'll see what happens towards the end of the season when things, as we get closer to the playoffs and it means so much more. Any final thoughts on JJ and LeBron? Or can we end this chapter and get into the NFL? All right, y'all, we got to get into the NFL. It's a lot going on. We have had some breaking news. I'm trying to figure out where to start because every week I feel like I have a topic list and then it just gets tossed out with the garbage due to breaking news. But you know what? We're gonna start with the game that has been talked about since Sunday, I guess you could say, and that's the Commanders versus the Bears. As we know, the Commanders beat the Bears 18-15 on their last play, the Hail Mary play. If you don't know, if you haven't seen the video, the Bears cornerback, I think it's Tariq Stevenson, was seen mocking fans, talking crap to fans while the Hail Mary's play has already started. And then he had to run over and be a part of the play at the last second. But it might have been a little too late because the Hail Mary was then caught by a wide receiver. I believe it was Noah Brown. I forgot he was even on the Commanders. Stevenson did apologize. Do you guys blame Stevenson, cornerback Stevenson, for this loss? Okay, well, I'm going to come to you first on this.
Absolutely not. I don't blame him at all. I mean, that's just the way. It's a Hail Mary. That can go either way at any time. I know it's going to be blown up because of the fact of the matter is, he was taunting the fans beforehand, and but he got back in position and still got his hand on the ball to knock it away. Unfortunately for the Bears, it went into the Commanders' hands. So I don't think you can put that on him. Any situation like that. We're talking about a Hail Mary, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing that you can you could practice it all you want to. You can walk through it as many times as you want to, but nothing's going to actually simulate to what it actually happens in that game. Because if you looked at it, so many different things happen. A lot of people saying, "Oh, he was taunting it while the play was going on." The play didn't happen until he got back into for the most part in position because Jayden Daniels was scrambling long enough to allow him to get back into position, and that's why he was able to get his hand on the ball. But if you've seen Hail Mary so many times throughout throughout the history of the game, you see it can go it can go one way or it can go the other. And even if you're playing a guy one-on-one, you could play the best defense and knock that ball down, and it'll still pop into the receiver's hands for a touchdown. That's just in my Flavor Flav voice. That's just the way the ball bounces. G, you can't control that. Right? You can't control that.
Right.
But it's blown up. I get it. It's blown up. It's magnified because of the fact of what took place beforehand. A lot of people were saying he should be benched. He should be released. He should be fined. I don't agree with all that. Yeah, he does need a talking to. He like you mentioned, Brady's come out and said that that he apologized for that. I still don't believe that had anything and the bearing of the outcome of the game by any stretch of the imagination.
K-Walk, you hit it right on the nose. I don't think it had anything to do with the outcome of the game. I don't think that's where the Bears lost the game. I thought they lost the game a little bit earlier in the quarter. With that one play where they had Caleb Williams trying to run a handoff pass to the offensive lineman. I think his name is Doug Kramer. I don't know what the heck happens. I wouldn't do that. Was weird. I would never do anything like that to me. And you was right there at the goal line. So that's 2 touchdowns. So if you score that and then you make your last touchdown, which was a little bit later in the quarter, right before the Commanders got the ball, you're up. What they had 15, so another 7. What is that? I can't think right now.
22.
Was that 22?
22.
So 22-18. There you go. You won the game right there. But do I think he deserves to be blamed? I don't think he deserves to be blamed for the loss. But I do think he does deserve to have some talking to, because you just can't do that. That's not professional. The game is still going on. I can understand if you were on the sidelines. I can understand if you were on the sidelines, you had nothing. You were one of the guys on the side. The players on the sidelines was not a part of the play, and you're yapping to fans. Like, I get that. That happens all the time. But when you're on the field, you still got time on that clock. You need to be focused, and clearly he just wasn't focused. And it was just unfortunate that he was the one that tipped the ball into Noah Brown's hand. He was a little bit out of place. My understanding. He should have been right in front of Noah Brown or somewhere in between, behind Noah Brown or right in front of him, something like that, to ensure that Noah Brown doesn't get the ball. My understanding is they came out and say he was supposed to be behind the main pile. So I don't know.
He was. That's how he hit the ball. The ball went over the pile.
Yeah, it went over, but he kind of jumped into it. He didn't stand his ground. He wasn't supposed to, I don't think he was supposed to jump into the pile like that and tap it. I think he was supposed to be right standing in front of Noah Brown to kind of block him from anybody getting the ball behind him. So is that his fault? I don't know. It could have just been a lapse in judgment possibility, but I do understand where you're coming from, K-Walk, because when he actually threw the ball, he got back into play, or right before he threw it, he got back into play and was moving around. But K-Walk, did you see the play? What were your thoughts?
You mean Mel?
Yeah, I saw it. So I wouldn't give blame for the loss to that one play, right? So therefore I wouldn't give blame to the for the loss to that one player. So if it was a pie and you had to slice it for all the reasons why we lost that game, it is a part of it is a piece of the pie, maybe a small piece of it, but it's part of it, right? Because I guarantee you that's not how they practice the prevent defense or the Hail Mary. That's not how they practice it, where he goes to the sideline and starts taunting the audience, and then he turns around and gets into the play 5 seconds after they already started. So they practice it that way. So your muscle memory and what you're supposed to do and all that stuff didn't kick in the way it should have. And if you were focused from pre-snap all the way to the end of the play, maybe something different could have happened, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely he's one of the individuals I'm talking to where I never better see anything close to that again, or you're cut. But then you also got to think about, how many people did they send after the quarterback for Hail Mary? Like, this dude had to drop back and then wait for everybody to get all the way 70 yards down the field, and then scramble to his left or right. I can't remember which one it was. Scramble and still had time and got off a clean Hail Mary And it wasn't even like nobody was coming in to hit him after the ball was released. Like he didn't even get tapped. That was just a clean routine Hail Mary. Imagine Jordan getting a game winner with no hand in his face. Like, how does that happen? Like, how does a quarterback throw a Hail Mary with no pressure? So, like, it's so much stuff that went wrong with that. And if I'm the Bears offense, I'm pissed because even though we didn't have a lights out game, we played well enough to win that game. Like we actually won that game, and then the defense gave it back and snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory on the last second.
It's funny that you said that because how do we feel about I can't think of his name. K-Walk coming out, head coach of the Bears. So I can never say his name.
Eberflus or something like that.
I can't think of his name. I had to say the other day too.
It's a weird name. But how do we feel about the head coach of the Bears? Because this is like a continuing problem with him. Like I said earlier about the play that I thought would really cost him, that cost him the game was that handoff to the offensive lineman right at the goal line, ended up being a fumble. And I understand you're not the defensive coordinator in that situation, but you're the head coach. Maybe call a timeout. It's only one play they could do. Make sure your guys are focused, or maybe have someone blitz, or maybe I don't know if it was TJ Edwards, kind of like, I don't think he was spying on Jayden Daniels. He may have been trying to cover the running back or whoever was kind of out in the flat just a little bit, not quite in the flat, but why at that moment are you even caring about him being out in that little flat area when it's the very last play? Maybe have him rush or have him drop back, whatever which way. How do we feel about the head coach and these decisions that they just continuously seems like just mess up every time? Is it time for this head coach to go? K-Walk, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure ask yourself, are you snake bitten here? Because he hears everything that's going on, and in the headset, because he can hear all coordinators, all assistant coaches, things of that nature. So if they're calling a play, he knows the plays on offense and he knows the plays on defense, the personnel, all of that, because he's the head coach. So he's supposed to know that. So for him to agree with that or say go ahead, then we all know hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's Monday morning quarterback in this thing. We know that. So at the time, it sounded right. It always sounds right. In the moment. But if you're consistently making the same mistakes, you know what I mean. Yeah. If you're consistently making the same mistakes and you're constantly doing the same thing, expecting a different result, we know the definition of that. You got to either question yourself, or management has to question, is this the right guy, for this position? But with the Bears, they're constantly making these moves. They go from quarterback to quarterback, head coach from head coach. So they got to ask themselves that question too. But yeah, to answer your question, Britt, I think that he's got to look himself in the mirror, or someone's got to come down and say, listen, you made this mistake here, you made this call here, you made this call here, and it didn't work out, didn't pan out. We're starting to see a pattern here. What's going on? Let's sit down and get this thing right. But overall, Britt, it just doesn't seem like he's the guy for the job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also don't think he's the guy for the job. I think I do feel like they gave up a little bit too fast on Justin Fields. I like Caleb Williams. It's not to knock Caleb Williams or anything like that. I see his talent. I like the young kid. But I don't think they did Justin Fields right in any way. And and the head coach is still there for some odd reason. I have no idea how he's still there. But Mel, do you have any thoughts on the Bears head coach and some of the decision making?
No, I don't have any thoughts on it. I mean, he it ain't like he got hired to be some hot shot coach, man. He doing what regular, mundane, average, mid coaches do. You know what I mean? And maybe if he get another job somewhere as a coordinator, maybe he can develop into a good head coach. He's not one right now. And I don't even know if there's anybody on the sidelines or the front office is good at what they do for the Chicago Bears. I just don't know. I mean, they did fleece the hell out of Carolina though. So I mean, maybe you can get some kudos to that front office. They fleeced Carolina for that Bryce Young pick. They end up getting DJ Moore, another pick that turned into Caleb Williams, and I mean, Lord have mercy. You know what I mean? So maybe the front office guy, he know what he doing, but hiring that coach wasn't one. I don't know if that was his deal or that was something that happened. He inherited, but I don't think he's the guy. I mean, I'd rather get an old school guy than get him. But everyone's trying to find the next Shanahan or the next what's my guy over there?
Reed, Andy Reid.
No, not Andy Reid. He old school. I'm talking about
Sean
these.
McVay.
Yeah, Sean McVay and with the Rams. Sean Shanahan. Everybody's looking for that next hot shot guy that can put the moose in his hair like JJ Reddick and come out there and be Pat Riley with it. Like, you get what I'm saying? No, like great coaches have seriously, great coaches and great quarterbacks have a look that these guys are looking for. They got a certain talk about them, a certain walk about them, a certain look, and you can tell when they're looking for the next one. Yeah. Sean McVay Shanahan is getting jobs for so many people.
Facts.
If you could just look like Shanahan and be like, hey, look, I was on his coaching staff. I was with him with the Falcons, and I was with his dad. I got a little bit of that gold dust sprinkled on me, and I still got the same part in my hair, just like all of these guys are getting jobs, man. And man, I don't know if that's what Chicago was thinking. They think they was getting a Shanahan type dude, but I don't even know what he's supposed to be a specialty at. Defense or offense? What is he?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. I don't know anyway.
I have no idea. Before we get to the next question, because I got one question. Bishop, Mel, this is you. So you read it for me.
Hit the like button, you squares.
There you
on
go.
both channels.
Oh,
yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank
brother.
you, Bishop
Appreciate
J.
You. Appreciate
Jermaine.
You.
But real quick, pertaining this before we go to the next game, we seen Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels, not directly but indirectly. They're both quarterbacks, so they're going to face each other, but not, offense, defense, of course. From the very beginning, I said I got Jayden Daniels being my rookie of the year. How do you feel about both quarterbacks right now? K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you.
Yeah, I like Jayden Daniels. I'll start with Caleb Williams. I mean, Caleb Williams is actually playing a lot better than I thought he would. Like, during the during the preseason and doing after the draft, we're on the show and I'm on record saying that I don't think he's going to be a good NFL. I just don't think that his running around and his not want to call it antics, but his ability to scramble around, when he was in college, when he was with USC, I don't think it was going to translate over to the NFL, and I still see some of those, those characteristics. He's getting away with it because he has a good defense. Yeah, he has some good running. I mean, he has some good players around him in the DJ Moores and in the Swifts and the guys of that nature. I don't know. I still don't think he's going to be that guy. I just think he's still going to be a guy that's going to be running around for his life, kind of like a Kyler Murray, in my opinion. He's going to be a guy that's just kind of constantly running back and forth. And the toddler, yeah, that's what I call him, the toddler. Yeah, I don't see him being a drop back quarterback, under center quarterback, getting into a rhythm and getting the ball out, a timing guy. He's going to be a guy who's going to be scrambling around looking for someone to get open. That's how I see Caleb Williams. With Jayden Daniels, total opposite. I think he goes through his progressions. I think he can play. He can play under the center. I think he could play, in the gun. He can obviously scramble. He can obviously run. He runs when he wants to, or when he needs to. Not when he wants. He can run anytime he wants to. But when he needs to, he's got the accuracy. He's got the arm strength. We've seen that. He's got to finish talking about that. But yeah, I like Jayden Daniels. I think he's in a better situation. I think he's in a more controlled environment, more organized environment, if you will. He's got two backs in Robinson and his name escapes me right now. The guy from the Chargers.
Eckler.
Austin Eckler. Thank you, Austin Eckler. Mm-hmm. He has two decent receivers. He has Terry McLaurin. That defense is good too. You got Dan Quinn, who's pretty much running that offense. He's a defensive guy, and he's got Kingsbury as well, Cliff Kingsbury as well, calling that offense. So I like the situation with Jayden Daniels better than I like the situation with Caleb Williams. I think it's going to be sustained for a lot longer than that situation. And I just don't trust the Bears organization.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
with
agree.
you on that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mel.
but for that reason, because of the Bears, K-Walk, for that
Yeah.
reason, I think our evaluation on Caleb Williams might have to take a you know I don't know. I think we got to wait. I mean, because like we're evaluating Justin Fields in Pittsburgh now, and I think this is his first real team that he's been on, real organization, real coach
Yeah.
that believed in what he can do. And it seemed like Chicago, even when he was playing decent, just couldn't wait to get from under him and bring in another quarterback, man. So, and I still think Chicago, the better decision for them is to bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. instead of drafting Caleb Williams and keeping Justin Fields. You already got a quarterback there. Bring in this receiver and keep everything intact. Don't bring in a rookie to learn, and start the whole learning process over. I don't think his talent was that Peyton Manning or Dan Marino level where you was like you had to have him. I don't think it was at there. So I think they would have been fine with Justin Fields, and if they get the receiver, then maybe they get some great quarterback in free agency. There's a vet. Who knows? I'd rather have that than what they were trying to get, man. So, but I definitely think Jayden Daniels is the rookie of the year. I definitely think he's the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams did look good all preseason. I can't lie about that, especially his first preseason game. Can't say the same for Bo Nix. I just don't like him, which is funny because Sean Payton was screaming on Russell Wilson like a child, but he ain't got no smoke for Bo Nix, which is very interesting. As a matter of fact, he tried it, and Bo Nix was like, "Ain't that? Yeah,
Nope.
this ain't that.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't Russ.
Yeah. I'm not castrated by Christianity like Russell Wilson and let my wife wear the pants. That's not me, right? So that didn't work. And then if we want to talk about just real quick, I just wanted to make this point: rookie quarterbacks from last year. Richardson for the Colts is trash.
We're getting there next. We are getting it. You know what? I had one more question for you regarding this. We're just gonna skip that. We're gonna go right into this. But let me read the super chat first. I couldn't remember what the name of it was, Mel. It's got in my head now. So it's $5 super chat from Bishop Jermaine. Jayden Daniels is nice, but he has a body like Ja Morant. He needs to eat.
Yeah, for sure.
That is true. Injury could potentially be an issue, depending on size. I mean, he is already hurt with a rib injury, but he won a game, so hopefully it doesn't impact him how it impacted players like RG3 or whatnot. So skinny guys is playing. You got Smitty with the Eagles, a couple other guys out there. So skinny guys are coming. So here we go. They rising, but. Let's get to this Colts game. Mel, you got me skipping around right now, but that's okay. We're going to get to this Colts game. As we know, the Colts lost to the Texans 20-23. And I think it has been announced that Anthony Richardson has been benched. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's due to the situation that transpired during the game, but he has been benched, and Joe Flacco will be the starter. But let me hear. I don't know if you guys heard what Anthony Richardson said after the game. So this is what happened. If you guys don't know what happened, I have a little quick video for you. Scary, come up now, of what happened during the game.
To the sideline at the end of that last drive, I asked their staff what was going on with him. They said officially there is no injury with Richardson. He was a little shaken up. He was a little out of breath. But as far as an official injury, there is none with Richardson, guys.
Can you explain just you something out when you hurt, when you injured, when tired?
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told Sam I just needed a break right there.
The play at the end, I mean.
He said he was tired. He took himself out the game because he was tired. Have you guys ever heard of a starting quarterback taking themselves out of the game for a play because they were tired? Is this as big of a deal as everybody is making it to be? I understand he got benched, but do you think that's more because of he got tired and took himself out, or because his play just hasn't been up to par? Mel, I'm gonna come to you first on this.
Yeah, I think his play hasn't been up to par. I don't know if I think even without that play, he was probably gonna get benched. But I mean, I think the last time we heard something similar to this was a certain quarterback throwing up in a huddle in the Super Bowl and getting called out by T.O., his teammate. So was that Philly? Was that Donovan McNabb? I don't know. But
Mel, don't come on this show starting
yeah,
crap. You keep your Philly comments
but you asked
to
the question though.
yourself.
K-Walk, was that not the question? She asked if we heard anything like that before.
Yeah, but to his credit, he stayed on the field, threw up, so he didn't take a break.
The game.
So I'd rather him do that. I'd rather him do that.
We not
I'd
bringing
rather
up
him
old
do that.
stuff, Mel. Don't come up here. You know what, Mel? You know I can.
Oh, hey, Mel, go there trying to break up a happy home, man. You trying to break up a happy home, bro.
I can box a little bit. Come on now, don't you trying to start something up in here? Let's keep it to modern times, to today, present time. We ain't going back.
So
years.
So he did run a lot on that play, but he's a running quarterback. Like, I mean, this what you want to do that. So at least condition yourself to be able to do that and still do your job, right? And he's a football player, and receivers sprint almost every play, right? Mm-hmm. And then they sprint back. They get back on, on the sideline or in the huddle, not the sideline, but on the line of scrimmage or in the huddle. So they're doing it. So, I mean, one sprint that you broke a couple of tackles for shouldn't have you subbing out, like, especially not at that time of the game. So he definitely got to do better with that. And then the second part of it is admitting that to the media. They go have a field day with that, right? You might have gotten that off if you came back in and threw like a game-winning touchdown after that. You could be honest then, but you can't come on the podium with a loss knowing the media is looking for some story to spin. They asked you, why did you come out? You could have said, look, I was shaking up a little bit on the tackle. I needed my trainers to look at me, and then I came back out there when I felt ready. You can't come out there and say I was tired. Nah, even if it was honest. You can't come out there and say that. But here's my last part of this. I heard Michael Parsons on his podcast saying the same thing. At least lie. Don't tell him you tired. And he went on a whole rant about it. And that's one thing I hate about players that are currently playing having podcasts. You ain't supposed to be commenting on stuff like this in the public and giving people bulletin board material for when they play you. Like, you're just not supposed to be doing it, man. So I hate that, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no. You just can't do it. I don't know if you got to do something better in the off season in practice. I don't know if you need to work on your cardio, but as a quarterback, regardless of how young you are or how long you've been in the league, you're the leader of this team. Like, quarterback, you're automatically dubbed as the leader of this team. You cannot walk out for any reason, basically on your team just because you're tired. I don't care if you're tired. Mel, since you wanted to bring it up, fine. Donovan McNabb got sick in the huddle, but he did not leave. Yeah, they lost in the Super Bowl. Trying to bring that up, trying to hurt my feelings, is what it is. But the point is, he did not walk out for one play or on his team because he was tired, because he got sick. Like, you just cannot do it. I understand he's young. I understand, he has to learn. But I can't necessarily give you that excuse in this situation. That looked bad, it sounded bad, and he learns. Now, should that have led to him being benched? No, I don't think it should have. I feel like this is kind of a situation with the Panthers and and Bryce Young. Like, you putting Joe Flacco in for what? I don't understand. I'm not understanding why. And maybe it's because they are 4-4 right now. I believe they're second in their division as of right now. So maybe they feel like there's still a chance. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Richardson is just not playing up to par. So that is a possibility. But do we really think Joe Flacco has enough to get it done with this team? I'm just not sure. I like Shane Steichen. He was on the Eagles as our coordinator. I think he was the reason why we went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago was because of Shane Steichen. So I'm a trust in him. But I still don't see the Colts going anywhere this year. And I still think this could be an opportunity for Anthony Richardson to learn. We kind of got on the Panthers. We got on the Panthers for doing something similar in the situation. Bryce Young wasn't playing well. They put in Andy Dalton. He had one good game, and then he started not to play well. You probably should have just kept Bryce Young in there. So to me, I don't think Joe Flacco should be the starter. But I'm a trust in Shane Steichen because I like him. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on Anthony AR-15's comments? I'm sorry, is he 15 or 5? Whatever number he is.
Nah, he changed it to
Anthony
5.
Richardson's, he's 5.
Yeah. Wait,
Anthony
I think no, he's
Richardson's
15. Is he
comments.
15 still? Is he still 15? I don't know what number. I think he's 15.
I thought he was
he changed
15.
I think he changed his name because they're all to shooting and thing. But nonetheless,
Oh.
yeah, I think with Anthony Richardson was my guy. He's a Florida Gator fan, man, and him being coming from the coming from Florida, I was rooting for this guy, African American quarterback, of course. So I'm going to root for this guy. But he lost me. He lost me on Sunday, with that, and with the tapping out and then coming out and admitting it after the after the game at the press conference. Look, I'm gonna have so much to talk about this guy tomorrow night. So if I got some listeners or followers, tomorrow night on my show, I'm gonna give it to this guy tomorrow night. But I'm gonna give you guys the Cliff Note version of what I'm gonna give tomorrow night. Just with him, everything that we mentioned, we brought up Donovan McNabb. I'd rather see him throw up in the huddle or throw up on the field, and that way, he's giving his all. He's not giving up. He's giving it up,
right?
But he's not giving up. If you will. But nonetheless, he's you can't do that. I mean, if you were so tired and you don't even know what the next play was going to be, you could have just simply said, Coach, give him his hand signal. Let's run a draw play or let's run a pitch play or something that that's going to buy him some time to catch his breath, for him, to catch himself, not be tired, throw a quick route, throw a quick pass if it was a pass going during a passing situation. You reach out to your coach like, look, I'm a little windy, don't make sure, don't put me in a situation where I have to run. I need some time, or do something on that. You don't even have to say that. Just say, let's call this play. I think I like this play. I like this play. Let's go here off tackle with the running back. Don't admit that you quit on your team, man. I mean, like Mel alluded to earlier, I mean, he was playing bad. I think he's 27th right now in the league and QBR, so that says a lot. I know he missed some time with that injury, but still, nonetheless, he wasn't getting the job done. But to your point, Brett, I think they respond to Flacco a little bit better. They do perform a lot better with Flacco. I mean, they're in a position right now where they can win the AFC South. Look at the Texans. The Texans haven't really been playing consistent ball, and they just lost Stephon Diggs on top of that. So with that ACL injury. So you go with the guys. You know who the locker room likes as far as as far as the quarterback. We've seen that in Cleveland. We've seen that in Cleveland. You didn't see it in Cleveland watching this past weekend's game. But going back to Anthony Richardson, yeah, you can't. It's not something you can do. You're going to lose a lot of respect. You're going to lose the locker room. And then to put that on top of your play or lack thereof, it's totally inexcusable, man. So you can't do that. You can't quit, and you can't admit. You could quit, but don't admit. I just made that up. Man. I just made that up.
I would have lied my butt off.
Right? Yeah.
I would have lied.
I wouldn't even lied. I would have just simply said, "Listen, give me this play." I would have given him a signal for a running play, and I would have called my call.
No, I'm saying with him coming out, you gotta lie now. At that point, you can't, like you guys said, you can't say I was tired. No, my back was hurting, like Ben Simmons would have said, or I got COVID, whatever, or whatever. You got to come up with something, but saying I'm tired, that first of all, you're a whole athlete. You're an athlete. And I understand you get tired, you get winded. I understand that. But that, to me, that doesn't look right as far as you being a quarterback who, to me, you throw the ball, granted, I don't know. I just feel like whatever I'm going to say is going to be harsh as hell to Anthony Richardson. So, and I'm trying to be mindful that he is young. He's naive as heck. So, and he still has a lot of growing to do at the same time. So, but that's just something he just can't do.
Somebody in the comment section, Unspoken Voices, said later in their interview that he pretty much kind of alluded to the fact that they're using him like a running back, and him saying that he was tired was just a way to get it out to the media that, hey, they running me like a running back out here. That's why I'm freaking
that
tired.
didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it backfired. That's probably, but
backfired in the mug.
Yeah, but back to K Watt dropping that bar like Johnny Carson. If you quit, you must not admit.
Right. There you
So
go.
yeah, there you
go.
go. The Johnny Cochran line.
You can have that, man. You
Super,
can have that,
super chat from Motown.
man.
What's going on, Chris? Organization is handling that team piss poorly.
How poor is piss poor? Is that what?
I don't know.
Is
Chris,
anything
answer
lower
that
than that?
question.
It smells bad. It's yellow and it smells bad.
Sheesh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's poor.
Yeah.
Is it yellow or
system.
brown?
More water in their system. They need more water in their system. That's what it sounds like.
It might. I don't know. Piss poorly might be a little bit brown on that one.
So poor and dehydrated. That's
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. He's
it might
tired.
be-
He's tired, so he might be dehydrated.
He need a little more water. He need a Gatorade or something. Some IVs in his arm.
He's from Florida. He's a Gator, so I don't know.
Right.
Should be.
Quick question, K. Well, because you brought him up. The Browns. Because me and you went back and forth with Deshaun Watson. My goodness. If you missed that, it's on the Sideline Speaks channel. I think it's titled Deshaun Watson. But we went back and forth, and boy, did we go back and forth. It was in a respectful way this time, because usually we're yelling at each other. We didn't yell this time. But you mentioned it. Jameson Winston stepped in, had a game-winning drive. I think it was Cedric Tillman, if I can recall that, caught the winning catch. It seems like the Browns responded to Jameson Winston that they would not respond to Deshaun Watson in a way. And I know we always come up and say excuses with the offensive line. They have a bad offensive line. It didn't bother Jameson Winston. So what are your thoughts on Jameson Winston leading the Browns to victory?
They blocked. Everyone played. Everyone did what they were supposed to do because Deshaun Watson wasn't there. I told you that before, Brett. The reason why they're looking bad and Deshaun Watson was looking bad is because no one was blocking for him. If anyone had a right to quit, and I'm not saying, and I'm not advocating for anyone to quit on anything at any given time, it's that man, because that was all about self-preservation for that man. No one was blocking for him. No one was running the routes that they were supposed to be running. And he was just looking like a complete fool, man. And it's just by chance that, the powers that be said, listen, I'm going to take you out of this, man. Instead of, you putting your life in jeopardy, I'm just going to just give you a little Achilles injury, get you out of here, man. Injure season and possibly injured stint with the Cleveland Browns. But Britt, you can't tell me that Jameis Winston is that much better than Deshaun Watson. You're not going to tell me that. That absolutely was about Deshaun Watson not being there. Those guys having the ability, having the capability of performing the way that they did, the offensive line, the running backs. You mentioned, Tillman. We didn't know who Tillman was before Amari Cooper got traded to the Bills. And then we see the defense played up to their potential, because coming in, a lot of people, myself included, had Cleveland as the number one defensive unit in the NFL, led by Myles Garrett and those guys. So when you see those guys put all of that together to surround around one cause, which is in this case Jameis Winston, or you could say it was Deshaun Watson because he wasn't there, says a lot about how much they did not like that guy, didn't respect him, or whatever the case may be, for whatever reason. They came to perform, and they did it. They didn't do it against a Cincinnati Bengals team without T. Higgins. No shot, no slight to your Eagles there. I'm about to say. I just realized. As soon as I said it, I realized what I was saying. But no Jacksonville Jaguars or no Carolina Panthers or anything like that. This is a Super Bowl contending team that they went out there and beat and beat. They should have won that game. If Hamilton holds on to that pick, game is over. But like I said, that's the way the ball bounces. And so I think that's all about that unit coming together for one cause, and as because of the fact of the matter, Deshaun Watson just wasn't there.
I accept your apology. Thanks, K-Walk.
About what? What about the Eagles you talking about?
No, about Deshaun Watson. Me and you remember we was going back and forth. I think that was me and you. Or was that me and Jay? One of us.
No, I agree with I was repeating everything I just said earlier. I mean, that time that we were talking about him. So I didn't my stance hasn't changed.
We gotta throw the flag on the play, like that commercial. And do the rewind.
Yeah, we gotta do a replay on that one.
We gotta do a replay on that one.
So
go ahead, Mel.
I agree with everything K-Walk said. I also would add that I think, Deshaun also was in his own head. He just hasn't come all the way back yet mentally from that off the field stuff, right? He's just not there. So it was so many things that was going wrong Some of it was environment around him and his teammates and the coaching staff, and the other of it was his own head.
Yep.
But then also, when quarterbacks come in, they always give the team energy when they've been struggling. They always give them a little energy. So it's best to grade them the second game, right? We seen it when Cam Newton came back to Carolina when they were struggling. That first game looked phenomenal, right?
Right.
And then it fell apart. We seen Andy Dalton come back for Carolina. Everybody, Bryce going to the bench. Andy Dalton came out, got a win against, I don't know who they won. Was it the Falcons? I don't know who they beat. They beat somebody. The Raiders. They beat the Raiders. Oh man, Andy Dalton is. Oh man, I told you. And the bottom fell out of that. Right. Russell Wilson came in his second game. He actually was able to play well, just like his first game. So you can kind of say, all right, that first game is a good indication that Russell Wilson can do this. Right. Are we going to see that for Jameis Winston? I don't think so, because Jameis Winston is notorious for not being able to hold or withstand greatness or good to greatness. Like, he can show you a flash of good, maybe even a flash of greatness, but when you're really great, you can sustain greatness and you can stack good games, great games, and wins. Jameis Winston can't stack wins or good games.
30-30.
Right? So we'll see next game.
The next game is against the Chargers. I think they could go either way, but I do think they can win that one too. It might be primarily defense on that one, because you may have to outscore the Chargers. I don't know. I don't really trust the Chargers that much. But we'll see what happens. I think that's a game they could potentially win as well. So, but we're gonna move on now and go to Mel. You always seem like you got my list. You got my list next to you.
It's in my head.
Because you aren't sure just going right from one team to the next, and that's the Steelers versus the Giants, because you just mentioned Russ. As we know, the Steelers beat the Giants 26-18. I'm not even going to really, I guess Russ is going to bring in, but it's not necessarily a Russ-focused question. I just want to know, based off how it was when Russ came back, I guess they were a quarterback away, potentially. Are the Steelers a threat in the AFC to go to the AFC Championship and Super Bowl? Mel, I'm gonna come to you.
No, but I expect them to play really good football and be coached well, and have a veteran quarterback that's probably not going to make the mistakes a younger quarterback would in the playoffs, and a quarterback that's been there. And if you got a defense in the playoffs when it's cold, and you can sack the quarterback, you can win some games in there, but getting to the Super Bowl, no. They'll play good though.
I don't know. I might be different. I think they do need another receiver. I do believe they need another receiver. So we'll see what happens on the trade deadline, which is, I believe, next Tuesday. Just so happens to be election day at the same time. Make sure you go vote. But that defense to me is special I don't think they played their greatest last game, but when they're really playing like they're supposed to, that defense is special. I just feel like Russ makes this offense look different. I understand Justin Fields, he's more mobile, he could run himself out of trouble a lot of times, but his throws just weren't accurate, or he wouldn't get enough air under the ball. If you look at that Russ throw yesterday to George Pickens, he threw it dead smack in his hands. Hit him. That was a dime right in his hands. I feel like that's what they were missing. And Russ is capable of making those throws. And I think people forgot that based off of the bull crap that he had to go through. And maybe he caused part of that bull crap too, in Denver, because I don't think they believed in Russ in Denver. I just don't. I think they basically say, you're getting older, it's time for you to go. And what Mike Tomlin, and I said this, Mel, I'm on a revenge tour this week for some reason. I said Mike Tomlin sees something in Russ. He has trust in Russ. That's why he put him back in that starting lineup. He could do things that Justin Fields just is not capable of doing at this point in time in his career. And I think it's a perfect position for Justin Fields. He gets to sit back and learn from a Super Bowl winning quarterback who has gotten it done. Yeah, it was a long time ago, 13, 14 years ago, however long ago, but he did get it there, and they just look different. But again, I still think if they can get a receiver at this trade deadline, I'm going to say they can at least go for the AFC Championship. I think they could beat Baltimore based off that defense. I do. I don't think Baltimore's defense is they've been struggling lately. I think the Chiefs might be another situation. At the same time, I don't think Patrick Mahomes has been playing well, but that defense is just lights out. And Patrick Mahomes, he's such a great quarterback because he makes the plays when that play's supposed to happen. Right? So we always talking about situational football. You need a play right now. Patrick Mahomes makes that play. So I won't put him in that category just yet. But anybody else in the AFC, I can actually see them beating or having a big opportunity big chance to beat those teams. I really do. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on this?
No, yeah, I kind of agree with you here, Britt, because when you look at their the current standings and the things of that nature, and the Ravens losing to the Browns, that put them in the front seat of the AFC North, which a lot of people think is one of the toughest divisions in all of football. So right now, if the playoffs were to start, God, I hope they don't, because my Niners wouldn't be in it. But they would be number 3 seed right now. They would be the number 3 seed right now. So, but and when you look at this, the way that they're playing and the move that they made and the way they're responding to Russ, I was one to say that don't if it's not broke, don't break it, because Russ was
right.
I thought Russ was just was moving that machine along just fine without any without any hiccups or anything like that. No, they weren't winning decisively, but you mentioned the defense. That defense is a solid defense, and Justin Fields was in a position, and you can call him a game manager, where you just ask him, you don't have to go out there and win the game, just don't lose it for us. And I think that's what Justin Fields is doing. But to your point, Britt, I think Russ, the way he's playing right now, does give them that big play, that big play quarterback there, where he's willing to take those shots, and he's willing to, not only willing but able to make those shots as well. Like you mentioned, that one he dropped in the bucket in the corner. So I think it was to Pickens. But yeah, I think when you can have a defense like that, when you have a defense like that, and you have a seasoned quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback who can still get the job done, you have to look at the Steelers and say they're a serious contender. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not picking them to go to the Super Bowl, but they're not going to make it easy for you. You're going to have to bring your lunchbox and your hard hat each and every game you play these guys. Hey, hence the name Pittsburgh Steelers, blue collar city. So blue collar city, or blue collar players without question. And Mike Tomlin is known for not losing.
Yeah, I've seen Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals be such a good team with way more weapons at receiver and running back and quarterback, not be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, and
the rest,
right? And I'm not, and I'm right. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you beat Kansas City in the playoffs? Like, if they got more men on the field than you, how are you beating them? And they got the better quarterback. How are you beating them in the playoffs? So there's no way but Pittsburgh get past Kansas City. You right. It would be it wouldn't be shocking if they got past Baltimore. And they probably could, they could beat the Bills. They could beat maybe they can beat the Texans, but I wouldn't pick them against the Texans, Kansas City, or Baltimore. I would probably pick them against Buffalo, though.
Not against the Texans?
No, not the
They
Texans.
just lost Stephon Diggs. I know Nico Collins, he should be returning, but he has a hamstring injury. We know how that can linger. And I just don't know if CJ Stroud's been playing great this year so far. I mean, it's still pretty early.
Great. But he ain't playing Aaron Rodgers bad. He playing good enough. You know what I mean? It ain't like Russ playing better than him. You know what I mean? Listen.
I know, but look at the defense. Like,
the
you got to
team,
go against that
yeah,
Steelers defense, though.
Texans got a good defense as well. But look, the team that's been playing good the longest is going to have the advantage in the playoffs, man. You can't just get hot. Oh, we just threw this quarterback in. I mean, it happens sometime, and they get on the run. I just don't see it.
Right.
I don't see it with this team. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I could underestimate Mike Tomlin and
Yeah,
what,
that's true. That's
because
true.
I feel like he's just been waiting to get a decent quarterback on his hands. He got it. And again, they still got the trade deadline. Again, I still think they need one more move. I said that earlier. I think they need a second receiver. But George Pickens came out in an interview and said that. I forgot who he was talking to, but he said, because they asked him about Justin Fields versus Russ, and they asked him, do he think he could be a top 5 receiver? And he said, if I got the right quarterback, I absolutely can. So
Sheesh.
And
is
especially
Russ
if
the
the
right
receivers keep
quarterback?
going down too.
Right.
If all the receivers keep going down, it's going to be hard to get a quality receiver for sure.
That is true.
Without paying for it.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting. Guys, I'm going to go a little off topic here, but before we do that, we got a couple of super chats that I keep bypassing. Motown Chris, Motor City Roar. Make sure you go subscribe, like, and share his podcast. Is Grace said piss poor is roommates with the roaches poor.
Yo, what was that about? I forgot we had to go back.
That was about with the P4 or whatever.
I'm gonna ask an ignorant question here, but the $1.99 and the $5, is that an inside thing, or is that what is that about? Every time I see something, I see $1.99 pop up or $5 on
super chat. That's super chat.
Again.
So
what's that?
I mean, we could explain it to you later.
But
so your subscribers will, Mel, if you want to explain it a little bit more, but your subscribers will.
Oh, okay, I get it. I got it.
For us to read the comments.
I got it.
All right. So we got another one. $5 super chat. Bishop J. Jermaine. Pimpin', don't get caught up in the Jameson Winston phase. He will break your heart.
Yeah, for sure.
He ain't lying.
Sure. Yeah, that is true, because he definitely had 30 for 30. Well, I don't think none of us will forgot
30
that.
30.
So, quick question. I'm gonna just throw this to the side because it don't matter. Do we believe they are undefeated right now? The only NFL team in the league that is undefeated, and that is your Kansas City Chiefs. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I decided to bring it up. And we understand.
Are you a Chiefs fan?
Players that they have. Who, me?
No.
None of us.
You see how I clutched my pearls when you said that?
Oh no, you said you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Didn't you say that?
Nah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were a Kansas City Chiefs.
I said undefeated team, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. And we understand the players that they do have. Patrick Mahomes does have 9 interceptions so far. I think he's tied in the league with Tampa Bay's the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. He's tied in the league with Baker Mayfield. And they are defeated, so defense has been playing very well. Do you guys feel like they can three-peat this year based off their play thus far? Anybody could take it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mel. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you say based on their play, are they playing phenomenal? Like, oh man, they unbeatable. Mm-hmm. No, it don't look like that. But they still keep finding ways to win the game. And if you let the game continue to be close when they're not playing well, and leave it up to either A, Pat Mahomes' razzle dazzle backyard football ability, and B, the calls going their way. I mean, you at a disadvantage, man. So, and they know how to win. Like it's a part of professional sports when you know what you know. Like when people say, "Yeah, man, playoff experience, blah blah blah." Part of playoff experience is just not knowing how to play every play like it's your last. Right. It's also knowing like the parts that people might not be privy to, like, hey, this might be a little bit fixed. Like the NFL and the NBA, they want a certain thing money-wise, and we know it just happened to be us. So listen, we're never out of the game, right? You know what I'm saying? It's certain things I'm probably going to get it. Like Jordan used to tell people, look, man, you only got 6 fouls. They're not going to foul me out. You know what I mean? I know
Right.
that's an advantage. That's a mental advantage knowing that you got that. You know what I mean? It's almost like if you fight somebody in the backyard in your neighborhood and it's just you and him, but your big cousin is standing right there. You know, if it gets really bad, your cousin's going to at least break it up. And if at least get off of him, stand on your feet and fight. You know what I'm saying? Even if he don't jump you, all right, get up, stop, stand up. And you can throw haymakers and all types because it ain't gonna get too ugly, right? So that small advantage, knowing that, is a lot. And I think veterans like the Kansas City Chiefs know that, and like people that's just getting into the playoffs might not believe that it operates like that, and they think it's just a real reality show when it's really not. You know what I mean? So yeah, heck yeah, Kansas City always gonna have an advantage. Yeah. They can three-peat.
I'm be honest with you guys. I think they will, it's in their favor to three-peat this year. I just feel like, first of all, I just feel like the NFL wants that for some odd reason. I'm a little back and forth on this one though, because I see how they play, and I guess I have experience with a daggone team who always got the ugly one, but it didn't turn out to be so great the last couple of years. It doesn't look the same, I guess, this year for them offensively. I know they got D-Hop. I know they just made a trade for the defense, the linebacker from the Patriots, and I think he'll be I kind of think that's greed on the defensive side of the ball. But I really think that the defense is going to have to continue to show up. I understand Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the NFL. I'm not doubting his ability whatsoever. I just don't feel the same about them, even though they're undefeated this year as I did in the last couple years. But I guess it's still early on in the season. We're gonna have to wait to see how they gel with D-Hop, and they take another step. But I just personally, I don't feel the same. Now, my feeling could be wrong, absolutely. I just don't feel the same. I still think they'll make it to the AFC Championship. I don't know if they'll get to the Super Bowl this year, because I just feel like we're saying they went in when they're supposed to. They making, Patrick Mahomes is making all the right plays. They're getting the ugly wins. I just feel like something's gonna go wrong, and they may not three-peat this year. That's my opinion. I'm gonna keep it out there. I'm gonna say they're not gonna three-peat this year, and I'm sticking to it. But absolutely, I could most definitely be wrong. It just doesn't feel the same, and it doesn't look the same. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
Yeah, you know how I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just as a 49er fan, we just can't beat them for whatever reason, whether we're healthy or not, or when I look at this game, 2 weeks ago, against the 49ers and Chiefs, and they had a great game plan against Patrick Mahomes, but when you have stuff in place as far as rules and things of that nature, when I don't know if you guys saw the play when he was running out of bounds, he looked like he was going to run out of bounds. The guys pulled up, but he stayed in bounds and continued to run. Like, it's dang if you do, dang if you don't. You know what I mean? In that situation, because if you do hit him and he's in bounds, they're going to find a way to throw a flag on you. So it was one of those situations where he knows how to take advantage of situations, kind of what you were alluding to, Mel. They've been there. They understand, the intricacies, if you will, of play calling and things of that nature, and how to get away with certain things, because they know guys, are taught a certain thing, and they've been there. They've done it. They know the refs are going to call it a certain way because we're the Chiefs. We're the Chiefs. So it's in their favor to win it. If you continue to buy into, this theory, if you will. I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I'm going to say they do win 3 in a row because you mentioned it, Brett, because that's what the NFL wants. I mean, that's what they want, and because we haven't seen it before. We haven't seen it before, and they want to see someone, be bigger or better than if that's possible. If you believe in it, then TB12. They have a guy that can be bigger and better than TB12. So I can see it happening, and it's going to, and unless someone just comes out and just do a dirty play, knock on wood, and knock Mahomes out of the game again, knock on wood. I don't want to see that. I'm not advocating for that by any stretch. We're going to see it. We're going to see it happen, to be without stretch, because look what they did. D-Hop, they got another. The league is also allowing them to do it as well. By why give up D-Hop for, I think it was a 6th-round pick or whatever it was? Like,
It was
just
nothing.
yeah, nothing basically was,
It
and I
was
think it's
nothing.
ridiculous. Yeah, and it's just ridiculous. But nonetheless, I see them doing it. I mean, I do see them doing it, and it's going to be frustrating for whatever team that are facing in the Super Bowl. It really is.
Yeah,
Hopefully
but I
not.
do think
I hope
that
it is,
if
but I hope it's not at the same time. My Niners.
I do think, because if you look at the last couple Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes is not usually not the better quarterback in those last couple Super Bowls. But it is the situational football. I need to make a play right here, which he does get it done, and it's that daggone defense. I don't know what the defensive coordinator, what they put in them drinks. They must got that Space Jam special juice drink when they was drinking all that, and all of a sudden they got real strong, fast, and powerful, and just did everything great. I
Yeah.
forgot what the drink was called, but that's what that defense has, because that defense is ridiculous. And if you look at the games recently, as good as we want to say that offense was, they really, to me, been winning because of that daggone defense. They just make it's hard to score on this defense for some reason. So that's a good, yeah. But like you said, K Walk, the NFL wants them to win. Until the next player comes along, let's see who they'll select. So
Yeah,
unspoken
seriously.
voices inside media said, I think the way to beat the Chiefs is putting some wood on Pat. Is that a pause
That's
moment?
what
Might be pause. The defense
no, that's what I'm
coordinator, the
saying.
defensive coordinator need you need use a player from the second team who do the dirty work.
That's what I'm saying. Basically, he's saying what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for the violence and being dirty, but that's what it ultimately going to take. But again, I'm not advocating for that by any stretch.
Thank
But you
you.
understand what I was saying?
Thank you.
It was, it was
Shay
Mike's.
J
I think it was
says,
Mike's special stuff.
oh,
Secret
Mike
stuff.
special. Okay, secret stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
so Space Jam's special drink. Yeah, okay. John White says secret stuff. Yes, it was the secret stuff. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
was, and that's what it feels like. All right, let's move on. Couple more NFL games, and then I want
Appreciate
to
you
get to
guys.
the WNBA, and then we'll basically close it out from there. Cowboys, we gotta talk about your 49ers. K Walk, your 49ers. I know you were excited. The Cowboys
Not excited,
lost
relieved. I
to
was more
your
relieved than anything.
49ers, relieved. So the Cowboys lost to the 49ers 24-30. I actually have a video on this game because it was Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs, and they had some comments that I want to get your thoughts on. It was kind of about the game, but it was overall about the state of the Cowboys and what is going on. So I'm gonna bring up the video now, and then just give me your thoughts on it.
Always say to the critics who say that we're in a meltdown. Right now, I feel like this is the best. If you were telling me, we were down all these defensive players and a few offensive players,
Yeah.
and we'll only be down, we would be leading at half and maybe lose a game by 6 to the San Francisco 49ers, and knowing that we're going to get those starters back, I say you're delusional, bro. If you, like I said, if you don't think me and D-Law, Bland,
Yeah.
anybody like that can
Yeah.
make a stop, make a play at any moment in that game, you're just outrageous. You're delusional. You're going to scheme differently.
Yeah,
You're
we
going to
we missing legitimately key pieces. Like a lot of it is messed up right now because it's just what we're working with. Like
yeah.
we're trying to make the best of it. Like it's just messed up right now. We just gotta thug it out. And I feel like we doing a good job of trying to figure it out. And it's not like we playing scrubs. It's not like our schedule is easy. Like we playing some
Yeah.
tough teams.
Playoff
Like really tough
contending
teams.
teams. And people don't
Yeah,
realize
every week.
also, like Kittle don't usually go off for routes when I'm playing. He's chipping, he's staying in. Like people
Yeah.
forget presence of players change game plans, change everything about what a team could potentially do. You know what I'm saying? So a couple 3rd and 5s might be
Exactly.
different
It's like
calls.
chess. It's like chess.
Exactly.
Like chess. It's like chess. K Walk, I'm gonna come to you first on what your thoughts on what they had to say. And they also mentioned your guy Kittle. What are your thoughts on the whole injury situation?
Yeah, that's that right. That's all I can say, man. I can all like that D on his hat. I think that's the delusional aspect of it. And by the way, while he's doing while he's doing this while he's doing this podcast, he should be using this time for rehab, man. That he brought his leg up on the thing, and it looked like his ankle looked like it's fine. I think it's his ankle, the reason why he's out. But going back to the game, he's saying these guys are out and these guys are out. These guys are out. What were the 49ers playing with? What were the 49ers playing with? They had, first round draft pick, a rookie there. They had two rookies in the backfield. They had a rookie in Garindo. They had Pearsall. They had so many rookies. Debo went down with the rib injury. And correct me if I'm wrong. The last time that they played Michael Parsons, Kittle had 3 touchdowns on you. Kittle had 3 touchdowns on you. Remember that? Look it up if you don't remember that. Last season, they had 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns on you. So, no, he may not have ran those particular routes because you weren't there. They would just ran a different route and beat you at the same time, whatever the case may be. But listen, using the excuse to that you're without certain players, you can't use that today. You can't use that today, especially when you're playing against the 49ers. If anybody, if you can use that excuse, which they're not going to, the 49ers are that team that can use it because they're without Juwan Jennings. They're without, they're without Brandon Ayuk. They're without Christian McCaffrey. They're without
Javon Hargrave.
Dre Greenlaw, all these guys played in the, in the Super Bowl. So let's not use that excuse. Let's throw that out the window first and foremost. And to say, we're not playing. What was the word that he used? We're not playing scrubs or whatever the word he used. I forget. I can't recall what word he used. That's the NFL. No one are scrubs in this. I mean, you from an NFL standpoint, they're scrubs. But what do you say about the Detroit Lions when they beat the brakes off of you? This is why they're in the state that they are. This is why, because it's not only a physical thing, it's a mental thing. And then when your defensive captain, if you will, Michael Parsons, is doing a podcast about saying it's a moral victory for them. It's a moral victory because they were only down, they were up at halftime, and they were without these guys, and they only lost by 6. That's why you're in the situation that you're in, because of thinking like that. So take that D off your hat, man, because it's not doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't stand for Dallas. It stands for delusional, Michael Parsons.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't look. I like Michael Parsons. I've liked him, because he's from PA. He went to Penn State. Although I'm not a Penn State fan, I am an Ohio State fan. I still have a lot of respect for him, though. But let's be real. If you look at that first half of that game, to me, that defense looked better without Michael Parsons than with him in it. I don't care what anybody said. It's unfortunate things didn't work out the way they wanted to in the second half. But whether you have Michael Parsons and whoever else in the game or not, the 49ers to me is still the better team. So it didn't matter if you were there or not. To me, I had the 49ers winning regardless. I think without all your key pieces, without the key pieces of the 49ers, you're still a better team. They have the better coach. They have the better CeeDee Lamb, he's up there. But overall,
he was the best receiver.
Right, he's the best receiver. You guys have the better tight end. Offensive line is better. Your quarterback played better. I don't know if you want to say he's better than Dak Prescott.
Absolutely.
Might be a little too early in his career. So there you go. But to me, I think overall, regardless, the 49ers are just a better team, even though you guys are also missing key pieces. And like you said, that's just an excuse. You can't use that excuse.
You can't.
When every team in the NFL are missing some of their best players.
Seriously.
We just had breaking news earlier of Stephon Diggs going down, or we had defensive players going down. So, and Michael Parsons needs to understand this. It's funny how earlier you got on Anthony Richardson for saying he was tired, but you coming out with excuses on why your team loses left and right. No, just take accountability and move on. We lost. We have to play better. We'll do better next time. And I understand, yes, teams do play your team differently when your star players aren't there. But you also have to make the adjustment as well. There's a reason why they say, like you said earlier, next man up.
That's all it is.
the Cowboy players, which is unfortunate. I think that's part of the reason why they just aren't that great. And they could be so much better is they are filled with excuses. And I think their coaching staff and their front office allowed them to be filled with excuses because let's be for real, they'll come up with a lot of same excuses. And something needs to change. I hope it doesn't change, to be honest with you, because I'm an
Right, but
Eagle.
you and I both. You and I both. And Britt, let me ask you this question because who do they really have that's not playing other than Micah Parsons? I think they said
Mhm.
someone else, but who do they really have that's of significance? A big name guy that they're missing. They seem like they just sound like it's two guys and that's it. Where they don't really make that much of a difference because even when those guys were in, they were still getting beat. They were still getting
They
ran over. They give up over.
ran right through.
Yeah, and everyone knows it. That's the blueprint. Brock Purdy had 56 yards rushing. The entire Cowboys team had 56 yards rushing. They're not missing a starting running back. Well, I think what's his name is a starting running back. I think he was out. But nonetheless, they weren't running the ball all of that effectively, and they definitely weren't stopping the run effectively either. So they don't have any guys that they can honestly say that are missing that would make a huge difference in that outcome of the game. Now if you want to add your guys, you want to be fully healthy, and then you want to throw one of the 49ers and be equally healthy, then the outcome might be tremendously different, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, but I just think something has to change in Dallas, Fort Worth. They don't even play in Dallas. They play in Fort Worth, Texas. Get out of here with that. I'm talking about crap. I am.
Right.
Nope, I've been there. It's Fort Worth. I ain't gonna lie. It's a
That's
nice
the old,
stadium. It's a
that's the
nice
old one.
area.
That's the old one. So I went to the
Yeah,
old one.
Jerry Jones got it nice down there. I'm not going in front, but no. Mel, I think I you got. I don't know if you have to go, or if you got some thoughts on Dallas, real quick.
That clip, I kind of said something about it earlier, man. I do not like podcasts from players that currently playing, especially in during the season, right? I probably could tolerate it if you did most of your recording in the off season. I could tolerate it a little bit more, but if I'm like an owner, I want in the contracts that none of my players have podcasts, man. So that's what bothered me the most about it. Just the fact that you on there talking about like what just happened in the game with the 49ers and like I said, man, like bulletin board material is a real thing. It's just stupid, man. Like I don't understand like people are trained in not to say anything in the media before a matchup to give them something to actually play for, right? So when they ask those questions, like, what you think about X, Y, and Z? Oh man, all compliments, man. Tom Brady will always say, "Oh, Peyton Manning is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league," and he's all these nice things they say because you don't want to give them extra motivation. But all the while, in the back of Tom Brady's head, he's thinking, "I'm better than Peyton Manning. I'm about to show it tonight. I'm about to show it tomorrow." Right? But they're not doing it no more. These guys are going on their podcast and doing way too much, talking about the games prior to or after. It's just not smart at all. And plus they even I got to say this before I say this. Black Lives Matter, but they even sound stupid when they talk. Like if that's the linebacker I got to deal with tomorrow, after I hear him talk, oh, he's dumb. Let's do all types of misdirection plays for his. Like I don't think to do. It's man, bro, shut up. Just stop the podcast. Stop it for what?
Right.
You can make like most people get into podcasting because it can become more than a hobby and you can actually get some income from it. That's cool. But if your main income is football or basketball and you're already millionaires, what's the point?
That's why.
Why it had to be you talking? Why you couldn't start the podcast and give it to someone to make some money off of it, and every now and then you become a guest appearance on it. It can still be yours. Right. You can still own it. And guess what? I'm on it every now and then, especially during the off season. They can do an interview with me, but me just come on here just giving my personal opinion about players and teams and all that stuff is tacky. It's not tactful. It's borderline stupid, honestly, man. And if you really think about it, the NBA teams that win, like Boston, Dallas got to the finals, SGA and OKC, they went far. Like when you look at these teams, nobody has a player on there that has a podcast. But when you look at the Clippers with Paul George and Pat Beverly on whatever team he was on, Philly, whatever he was at, like
he's with Israel.
Right. The Warriors and Draymond Green, like those dudes, like it's not a coincidence, man. Like the teams that are majorly focused are majorly focused. That's my thoughts.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't understand the whole podcast situation with current players, especially when you just find an excuse every time you talk. It just sounds like you have an excuse, and it's annoying, and you complaining about something, or you're just doing it because you want to fight with what other podcasts had to say about you, or with what ESPN or some of the major TV platforms had to say about you. It's like, just play ball. Focus on playing ball. I'm not saying don't use your platform to elevate certain, certain important topics or anything like that. But right now, just focus on playing your sport, build some businesses, and then once you retire, then come and do your podcast. But I agree, you don't need it. You don't need it. Just doing it just to talk back to us or respond to the fan base or whoever else. And it's annoying as hell. It really is annoying. But K-Walk, any thoughts on that?
Nah, I gave my thoughts and opinions on that. It just sounds like, that, there's two guys sitting, on a bus on the way back from a loss, or sitting, at the cafeteria when you're in high school, or sitting, or after a game on a Monday talking about, why they lost or how they lost, and, what they're going to look like in the future, and why people are saying that they're saying about them. And when you hear stuff like that, and, you just hear that, they really don't have an idea of how to get it right. That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I completely agree with Kevin Dorsey. Too many within the current generation are sensitive, soft, and outspoken. They don't see it as an issue. They just want the likes. That soft, sensitive, and soft,
spot
on, beyond spot on. It's just like, you play a game, allow us to criticize your game. Look, I understand the outside stuff, the family stuff. Like, we don't know your personal lifestyle. But if you're sensitive because we criticize you on how you play, come on, grow up. It's like, you got to grow up on that. You got to grow up. All right, guys. Mel, I know you got to get out of here soon. I don't know if you got time for the WNBA. I just had a quick WNBA topic. You got a couple extra minutes?
Yeah.
All right, real quick, and then we're done. We're going to get out of here. I want to go to WNBA real quick because, as we've seen, there has been, it just felt like everybody's just getting let go. It's about 6 or 7 teams that have let their teams go. Let their head coaches go. And some are I'm surprised at, like the Indiana Fever, who did pretty well in the playoffs, or Chicago Sky, Teresa Witherspoon. They basically gutted her team. And only gave her 1 year to show something, and they just let her go. Now, I could be a little biased because Teaspoon is my girl. A couple other teams, maybe Dallas Wings. I think, no, they missed the playoffs. I'm sorry. Did they miss the playoffs? I think they did miss the playoffs. But it was a couple teams in there that did make the playoffs and got the X. What do you think the heck is going on? Why are all of a sudden these teams are having these mass firings? Everybody's just getting rid of their head coach. Any thoughts on that? Mel, I'm gonna come to you first real quick.
Yeah, I think it's 3 different reasons why coaches are letting go. It's like the lower tier, like you said, those teams that didn't make the playoff. That's a real basketball decision. Like, you suck, right? And we got to find a better coach. And then some of it is the NBA is changing. The WNBA is changing. The landscape is changing, and they're trying to get a new style of play to match all this new attention they're getting. And Caitlin Clark, in Indiana's case, that wasn't a basketball decision to fire Christy Sides, because she got that team turned around in the short term. Like, she get a rookie point guard that's supposed to be the savior of the NBA or the WNBA, and she couldn't handle pressure defense and was averaging 7 turnovers a game, right? And she had to figure out and think and coach her way around that, and turned it into something by the All-Star break, and they come out the hottest team in the league, and then they make the playoffs. So if it was based on what you did as a coach, she should be getting a new contract and not getting fired.
Yeah.
But what they want to show on TV for Caitlin Clark and for ratings and all that stuff is not the type of basketball that Chrissy Sides coach. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to bring in someone that's going to allow Caitlin to play the style of offense that she played at Iowa, where she's just doing everything and just taking shots and threes and just exciting basketball. And that coach is going to be okay with that. And what better coach to do that than the one that coached her at Iowa that just retired last year, who probably will come straight to Indiana and coach that squad, right? So Indiana is making these moves based on appearances, right? Not necessarily winning basketball, but for appearances, right? Then you got, why the heck did the Sun fire that great coach who got coach of the year a couple of years ago? That just don't make sense to me. And it's same thing with teaspoon and all that stuff. And I think that's part of the beautification of what they're trying to do with the league now. Like we need coaches in place that's going to be not so much basketball, but what we want to see on the basketball court, and having Thomas go out there with the attitude that she go beat everybody up for the Connecticut Sun. Yeah, we don't need that. Let's soften this up a little bit. Like, we're going in a different direction, and all these dinosaurs got to go.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's starting to feel. It feels like they're trying to go that NBA route where it's going to be more offense than anything and less defense. And to me, that's what a lot of people, real true basketball savants, fell in love with the WNBA, because they had that gritty about them, that they played hard, they played defense, something that, at least us here, complain about the NBA a lot. We feel like it's too soft, it's too much. Like, a lot of these guys to play, and you hit it right on the nose. If you get rid of Teaspoon, you're trying to focus on maybe more offensive side, because she's a defender, and that team, they needed defense to win some games. So I don't like it, but we'll see what happens. I guess this will be a way for the girls to get paid a lot more, I guess. I feel like it didn't have to go that way. Could have did it a different way. But K-Walk, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I know we're pressed for time. Yeah, I agree with everything you both of you guys said. It's just, it's one of those things where everyone's always thinking that, if you I say this about each and every team, organization, regardless of what the sport is just, you just think that if you just shake a tree, a championship coach is just going to fall out of it. And it's just not the case. And we kind of touched on it, and Mel touched on it about the NFL. We talked about the Shanahans and, the McVays and the Reeds, as far as guys that are, you see that are always there, in the mix of things, as far as being, consistent, as far as being to the championship, getting to the championship. And with these, I don't know what's going on with this. We've seen 7, and there's 12 teams, or how many teams there are, 15, and almost half of these teams are changing. And I get it. They want to be, they want to be the Liberty, they want to be the Aces, they want to be the Lynxes. I get that, but what they have to do is they have to understand the process and believe in that process. And if you start with a coach, you should, and at least give them 4 to 5 years, man. Legitimate. If that's what the contract is, allow them to fulfill that contract, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to fall, what free agent you can get, what draft pick you can get, what trades you can make. Just be consistent, understand, and trust the process, if you will, in the long term.
Absolutely. So we're going to see what happens. I'm interested to see who these teams are going to hire as their head coaches. I'm still pissed off about the Teaspoon one, but that's on me, I guess, because they don't give a damn. They don't care. But right. So, but that's it, y'all. I think real quick, somebody just asked a question off topic. what did y'all mention anything about your thoughts about the D Wade statue? Like, was the ugliest sucker I've ever seen. That's a bad looking statue. I'm sorry. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah. But once you get past it being ugly, and it not looking like D Wade, then it's still D Wade. It's still his likeness, and he still got a statue in front of him. I mean, that's dope. You know what I mean? So it's dope, man. But I got good laughs off of it. I got all the laughs I could stand. But at the end of the day, it's dope.
I'm a Heat fan. I watched the game last night and I watched the halftime show, and he said that he puts so many different things involved, so many different emotions. It's not just his face. It's just like so many different emotions and so many different events that went into that. So I guess you have to look at it from the standpoint of that's the way the artist sees it. And he had a big hand in that as far as designing that. So he had approval. He signed off on it, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go to watch the halftime show last night of the game between them and the Pistons, he'll explain exactly why it looks the way it does.
His ex-wife's last. No, but you guys are right. Mel, you're right. It is nice to get a trophy regardless of how it looks in your honor, based off how you performed on the court. And for them to honor you in that way, that is a blessing, regardless of how ugly that statue looked.
That's the way the artist sees it. You can't disrespect
it'll always
that.
be there. Well, that artist needs to see it in a different way. But anyway,
the artist is the way Wade. Dang.
Well, that's why he plays basketball and not art. All right, I'm being mean. Let's get out of here. But anyway, thanks, Mel, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Brother.
Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share Man Down Sports. I will be there on Friday. Yes, I will, to talk more crap in basketball and to get my apologies.
I'll be tuning in.
I wasn't there last week. But no, thank you guys for checking us out. Just please like and subscribe and share the Sideline Speaks as well. And also, I just want to give out a quick message before we get out of here. Look, I understand I may not like somebody else's lifestyle. I may not even necessarily like their lifestyle or some of the things that they believe in. I may not always agree with how they go about doing things, but the most important thing is that we continue to spread love. That is the biggest thing ever. I don't agree with everything that Mel does. I don't agree with everything that K-Walk does, but at the end of the day, I love them, I respect them, and most important, I understand them. So let's continue to love, respect, and understand one another, and then we'll see that things will continue to progress in life. Awesome. But we'll see you guys next week. See y'all.
Sharing is caring. Like, subscribe, and share.
I want my red Care Bear hat. My red Care Bear hat. See y'all.